Is you getting a countdown? Did you get your countdown? We're live.
Yeah.
Hi. Welcome. We've got Marissa Whalen on our third recorded episode of the Empowered by Victors podcast. And Marissa, gosh, how far back do we go? Is it? I mean, your anniversary for Little Movements is what, like 6 months before Victors or something like that? It's pretty close, right?
It is. Yeah. I will never forget meeting you and Stassi for the first time. As we had just began our business, you guys came and saw us and introduced
Mhm.
yourselves. And it was hard to believe, but that was 2.5 years ago, right?
Yeah. Yeah. That's crazy because it was November, right?
Yes, we started in November of 2018. And I started becoming like a full-time Victress member, I think in right smack in the middle of COVID. I want to say 2020.
Yeah, I think it was. It was like spring or summer of 2020 or something like that.
Yes.
Or fall maybe. I don't remember. It was warm. I remember your first workout very vividly.
Oh yeah, I threw up.
It was not my greatest moment as a programmer when I make my brand new member throw up on her first day. That's not the most ideal situation.
It's fine. It was like, what? Stay humble, girl. Stay humble. You got room for improvement. And it was good. I had never done sled pushes before. So I think that that's kind of a lot of the reason why I fell in love with Victor's is because it pushed me to explore my limits a little bit. And I'm like a huge believer that when your mind can push your body to different extremes or just not necessarily extremes, but just in a different way, that it really does sharpen your mind. So that's why
Yeah,
I'm
go ahead.
That's why. Yeah. Yeah. So thank you so much for having me on today. I'm so excited to just chat all things and motherhood and entrepreneurship and the balance between it all. And if balance is even a word, I don't know, but I love and look up to other women who are also mothers and are living the same path and managing it. And a lot of people can make it look effortless and beautiful, but we know it's really hard. And so having these authentic conversations, I think, are so important and relatable, and just letting other women know that they're not alone in this.
Yeah, I love that. So I'm going to start this conversation with something that you just did, which I find extremely impressive. You just completed your first full marathon, correct?
I did. Can you believe it?
No, to be honest, I'm wildly impressed. The intention was to do the half, correct? Like,
Yeah.
tell me the story. How did this happen?
Yeah, I was just having like an impulsive moment, I think. I we're going to blame this on my cycle also, and we can talk about this a little more, but it was literally the Tuesday before the half. So I was supposed to run a half marathon on Sunday, and it was a Tuesday before, and I was feeling like my best self that Tuesday. And I went on a run and I ran just about 8 miles. That's what I had time for that day. And the whole time, like, I've been thinking, the week before in my mind about like making an impact. And that's always been very important to me in having a business, is like, how can I help others? How can I make an impact in our community? And it's something that I've really always tried to make a priority. And as you know, like, we were affected, like our customer base was affected by these awful tornadoes the week before in Omaha, Elkhorn, Bennington, and Waverly. And even a couple people who shop with Little Movements were affected by this. And so, this had happened the week before, the Friday before I was on that run. And the whole time I was on that run, I'm like, this is going to be my time where I'm just going to be by myself in my own mind. And I'm going to really think about what we can do as a small business in Lincoln, Nebraska to help our neighbors out. And either whether it was raising money, whether it was just bringing in donations, I didn't know what it looked like yet. And so I just got real close and personal with myself and took myself on a run and did 8 miles. And that day I was just like feeling really great. And I was like, had been following this influencer's journey, Paul Johnson on Instagram, and he had just run all the way across America to raise money for veterans who are struggling with mental health. And I just like
Mm.
had thought that his journey was so awesome. And so I kept like as I was on this run thinking about this, and I'm like, is this divine timing? Like, is this divine timing that I could potentially like just change my race and like motivate people to raise money to sort of watch me like struggle on this thing that seemed impossible to me? And so I thought about it and I called one of my best friends who was our co-founder in this business, and I was like, "Hey, like I'm thinking about maybe doing this." She's like, "Do it." She goes, "I don't think I'm going to join you, but like you should do that." And so I got on our Instagram and I made a reel and I was like, "Hey guys, feeling a little impulsive and a little crazy today, but I think if we could raise $1,000 in 48 hours, that I will just I'll just switch my race and I'll do 26.2 miles instead of 13.1." And sure enough, it was like 12 hours and all these people showed up congregating. Like it's just this awesome community that is just I don't know. I feel like the customer base that we have at Little Movements, I know that I'm partial, but it just has been such an uplifting and positive community, and I'm so thankful for that. So we got the money raised. I switched my race over. So let's just say that I had not ran over close to that 8 miles on that Tuesday. And I have only ever ran two halves in my life before that. But I just I was like, "I can do this. I can do this." If people are, like, hurting, losing their homes, like, I can run for 5 hours or something, like, why not? Um, but I will say, like, running that race, it was a total out of body experience, and I'll talk a little bit on my training, like, not my actual running training,
Right.
but my training that I do with Victorious and how that helped, but, what I will say is that I literally ha smiled the entire time. The race was so fun, and I was so weirded out by why that was so fun. And I just tucked. I went ahead and I got along with a pacer for 5 hours, and I ran with her the whole time. And we had great conversation. Like I can't even explain it, Stacey. It was just like it was not my body. But, I would do it again. I would definitely do it again. It was something that, I felt like a huge sense of accomplishment with, but I also, like, I felt great afterwards, and I think I owe so much of that to the training that I do at Victorious, like, beforehand. Um, I really admire people who were I won't say that I was fast. I think I finished in 5 hours, maybe like 5:03 or something like that. But I will say, like, I was very humbled by the fact that, like, like, as you finish the Lincoln Half Marathon and you keep going, like, so I finished my half and I was, like, turning the corner to run 26, and then I see all of these people who had already finished 26 miles, and I'm like, what? I, like, asked some of the volunteers, I'm like, "Did they just, like is he done? Like, that's he's done?" They're like, "Yeah." I'm like, "Oh, wow. Okay, here we go." But, no, it was really fun. I really enjoyed it. I probably wouldn't recommend that unless you have trained, in a certain sort of a way, but I think fueling my body right ahead of time and fueling my body throughout the race right really helped, and also, like, the weather was perfect. But I enjoyed it and had a lot of fun and was thankful to raise that money. So actually tomorrow I'm hoping to sneak down to Elkhorn and deliver our check that we were able to raise $1,300. So I was excited about that.
That's incredible. Yeah, I mean, you inspired me, that's for sure. My sister just bought a house on the hill. So I went over to her house and was sitting there watching all the runners, go by. And I've ran, I don't even know how many half marathons. I've a decent amount, not quite 10, but probably close to it. Never done a full, never had the desire, never had like any kind of itch to do that. Um, and I remember I saw you. What is it like right after mile 9? I think
Yes.
is that hill. Um, and we got a lot of different banter from runners on that hill. It was funny. Like people were like, "Who chooses to live here?" and like all this other stuff. But you just were so happy. You're smiling, giving high fives. I think before you saw us, you were like taking a selfie with Lindsay. I was just like, look at her. She just was like living her best life. But then I'm thinking to myself, well, this is mile 9 and she's
Mhm.
got a ways to go. So
Oh,
not
yeah.
discounting what you had to do, but I'm like, we're not even halfway yet. So um I just admire that so much and doing it for a cause. I turned to my sister afterwards. I'm like, okay, if I'm ever going to do this again, like I absolutely want to do it for a reason beyond just like to do it, right? Like I think that that is a very just reason in doing something because there's a huge amount of accomplishment that comes with that, but I wanted to do it for something bigger, and so I'm currently trying to like figure out what that would look like. I don't think I want to do a full though. I'm thinking like PR my halftime or something.
Yes, yes. And I know I'm like, I never want, like as this person who I really just at Little Movements, we want to encourage movement every day through affordable style. So this is like,
Mhm.
I've never wanted to be an extremist. I just want to motivate people to serve others, but also like be active. And so I actually had a couple of people like, oh my gosh, like I could never do that, or I would never want to do that. I'm like, oh my gosh, please, please don't. Like, this is just something that I had to do for myself. I think like I wanted to do this to raise money and see, like, push my mind to that
Mhm.
sort of a extreme. I will say though that I probably would do it again. I
Yeah.
actually really enjoyed it, but it would be interesting to like actually train because I wonder if you would hate it more if you were like, oh my gosh, I have to
Probably.
run 20 miles today, like, and then I have to run 26 again in 2 weeks, like, I wonder if that would change it, I don't know, um, but yeah, I will say I'll speak a little bit to this, so, like, do you want me to talk about my Victorous sort of training?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I think that, I would chime in there before you talk on that. Like like you said, like being able to train for it versus like coming into it. I think number one, endorphins are like a huge thing. Like you were doing it for something bigger and better than just the individual self. Like you've had some external motivation, which I think is huge. Number two, like you talked about fueling, which is also extremely important in any capacity day to day, but also like in an athletic setting. I don't feel like a lot of women do a good job of like consistently fueling ourselves to perform. But then number three, like maybe, I mean, I wouldn't say that most people would probably get away with that. I know you're an athlete. I know you have like a mindset of an athlete, from all of the days of all the sports that you did growing up and everything. So I think you have that mental side of it. But strength training is a huge component. Like you have been strength training and you haven't put on that distance and mileage on your joints. So I would argue like you were kind of at an advantage there a little bit. You had enough mileage to be dangerous, but you didn't have too much that we were like wear and tearing at this point. So yeah, if you want to speak to the magic of Aaron, please do. I'm a fan.
Absolutely. I agree 100%. Like I Aaron, and I'll talk about this a little bit, but like I have been a member at Victorous since 2020, but this year, probably like 7, 8 months ago, I
Mhm.
came to Stacy and Stassi and I was like, I'm struggling. I am struggling so hard now that we have a storefront to like commit to coming to a certain class time every day. It was really hard for me to find that balance in my own schedule now that I had alternate commitments. And so if I wasn't working out at 5 a.m., I was really struggling to find my time at Victorous. And so coming to them, we came to the conclusion of having a personal trainer that I would see twice a week. And I will say, like, that for me has made such a huge difference in my life. Like everything and the fit of like Aaron with me, it's just been so awesome. And I'm so thankful for it. But so I made the switch to meet with her twice a week, and we kind of came into this. I'm like, Aaron, I just want to get back to like my strongest self again. So we started off our journey with just doing a strength cycle, so maxing out, progressively overloading, things like that to get back to my strongest self, also making sure that like are you eating enough protein and carbs and vegetables, all of those things. And then I told her I signed up, January 1st for the half. So she's like, tell me about your halves in the past. Like, what has that been like for you? And I've always had a little bit of hip pain and a little bit of knee pain with my distance runs. So she's like, all right, well, that tells me we really need to strengthen your glutes and we need to strengthen your legs to protect your knees. So we really focused heavy since January on training my glutes, pretty primarily, but then also my quads. And I literally have never ran a half without either pain. And
Mhm.
this fall, I had zero knee pain and I had zero hip pain. And to me, that was like spoke volumes. Like, oh my gosh, like how am I not hurting right now? This is incredible. And I do think that, building that extra muscle and making sure that I was eating enough to build that muscle really helped to relieve the pressure on my joints and keep me pain free, which I do think a lot of the reason why people are nervous to run halves and fulls is because of that getting hurt. And I didn't want to do that. I don't have time to be hurt. So I really didn't want to get hurt. And I will say that that was sort of a fear that I had going into this and committing to the 26 miles was I don't want to hurt my hips. I don't want to hurt my knees. I've got a great workout routine going. I've got a business to run. I have 4 kids. Like I don't want to get hurt. So I think really strength training that helped prevent pain, which was dynamic, huge in helping me finish this. But I do think like this is a great testimony for women, strength training in general. Like we can do incredible things by making sure that we are taking care of our muscles in our body.
Mhm. Absolutely. Absolutely. I'm just curious, just because I'm curious. Was there any point? I mean, you're saying you're smiling the whole time and you're like happy the whole time. Was there any mile, any like certain point that you were like, oh, this is a little sticky? Like, I
Yeah,
might be questioning my choices.
it was mile 24.
Okay.
Okay, so I will say, like, I literally was like, I can't even explain it. And maybe it was the runner's high that had actually happened during it. But mile 17, I was like, okay, I'm getting kind of tired. How do I run this? Like, because I don't know. I've never ran this before. Like, how should I run this? So that was when I found the 5 hour pacer and I just tucked in with her. And I was like, I'm just gonna stay with her the whole time and I'm gonna do what she does. And that was such a great opportunity for me to be able to complete the race in a safe way. And I'm so thankful for her. We've been like texting the last week. It's so funny. I love it. But she's from Texas also. And this was her 20th marathon that she had paced. So it was great to be with her. I felt very like I was with a very educated person on this. And um, mile 24, it was uphill, which I'm like, oh my gosh, why would they do that? But it was like uphill for a good mile and a half at mile 24. And like I had said, like I'd been fueling, I had gotten these like the gummies from Fleet Feet, and the brand is slipping my mind right now. But um I'd gotten these gummies that I had eaten along the way, and I really preferred that over the goo. I tried some goo earlier and it made me want to vomit a little bit. Like I couldn't do that. So I just kept eating the gummies, which were sort of like fruit snacks. And then I just had like a belt with like a pack of these snacks in them. And at mile 24, I like had run out of them. And luckily, I was starting to feel like a little bit fatigued because they do say you're supposed to fuel every 30 minutes or something. And I was starting to feel fatigue at mile 24. And luckily, the pacer who I was with, she had like um just like it was like a I don't even know what it was. It was like a little pack of like sort of reminded me of liquid IV, but it was like a powder. And I took that and that helped me to finish the rest of the race. But I will say like that was the hardest for me where I was starting to feel super just drained was mile 24 to 26.
How has your recovery been since?
Um you know what? That night, like in true mom fashion, I had a Target pickup order. So I went and had to walk like a mile to my car because my kids, you know how it goes. Like my kids all had baseball tournaments. Like this was a thing that I did on my own. And I knew that that was going to happen and I was going to have to drive myself home. I was going to have to pick up the groceries, all the things. So I, walked a mile to my car afterwards in the parking garage. And I got in and went to Target, got my groceries, went home, put the groceries away. And it wasn't until I sat down, like when I got home, I showered and I sat down and I was like, oof, like I might be a little sore. I might be a little sore tomorrow. Um, but the woman who I was running with, she had mentioned that what she likes to do, the night of the race, leading into the next day, is taking an Advil PM, and it really helps with like the swelling on your joints and stuff like that. So I listened to her advice. I took Advil PM, and I am not joking you. I woke up the next day and I would have never known that I ran 26 miles. I told Erin, my trainer, I was like, I am way more sore when I have to do Bulgarian split squat and curtsy lunge combo than I was after running 26 miles. Isn't that crazy?
I mean, it's a testament to strength training too, I think a little bit there for sure. But yeah, I mean, again, like the muscles are a fantastic little feature of our body. If we've got them, they are absolutely there to help us out. And I'm sure Erin was working on endurance rep ranges as well as production ranges and all of those things. She knows all the good things in that regard. So yeah, I think it's interesting. Like when I first ran the Havsy, that was the first time, or a couple years ago when I ran the Havsy. I think you ran that one too. A That was the first time I had done our half marathon training program that Victor's has, and I absolutely felt the best I've felt ever running a race. That's for sure. Until I didn't. Mile 10 for me sparked some GI issues that I had to navigate. We'll just say it that way. But leading into it, I mean, I was running with Nicole Legler where we were set to PR. It felt fantastic. I have that itch, I think, still because of that race, like specifically. And I didn't feel sore the next day, and I didn't feel, felt a little dehydrated, but I didn't feel, any wear and tear on the body. And I think that the prioritizing of strength, that's the first time that I've lifted 3 times a week versus only ran 2 times a week. And I think that truly like helped a lot in like the long run in regards to like my ability to keep the longevity going. And I mean, as a woman, we are kind of at an advantage for the long distance running too, just from a physiological standpoint. So that's kind of a perk. But yeah, I props to you, girl. Like it was so fun to watch. I remember we were talking about what Victor's members are out there. We knew like Taryn and Amanda and them were out there, and then Carrie Trich we saw like running by with you, I think right before you, and then I got wind that you were doing the full instead, and I was like, wait, what? wait, why? Is she okay? But I mean, the amount of inspiration that I'm sure you have given to so many people, and including myself, like I just commend you for that, and I hope to do something similar someday here. I don't know about the Havsy, but maybe next year's half, trying to do something, or the Lincoln Marathon. We'll see.
Thank you so much. If I can do it, you can do it. Honestly, I think that if I can do it, anyone can do it. I do.
I mean, really,
It is such a mind. Like that's the thing about running is it is your mind. It's like such a mind thing. As long as your body is strong and steady, like your body will do it. If you feel like you've, at least trained in some sort of a way to help build muscle or even run. But I do think running is such a mind thing, overcoming the negative voice and overcoming the tired, and just something I've never experienced was endorphins while running. And I know that I did that day. I've always experienced the runner's high after, which was very interesting. So it was almost like, I don't know, I had felt those endorphins throughout that entire run until 24th. And I was like, okay, like we can be done pretty soon. Yeah.
I'm all done. I'm all done. Well, you talked about walking to your car and all the obligations of your mom life. You are a mother of 4 children, ages ranging 3, is maybe 3 now?
2.
Two.
She's
Two.
2.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
2 to 10?
11. Yep.
11. Okay. I was close.
Yeah, you got it. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
So 3 to 11, 4 kids, 3 boys. Littlest is a little girl. And you, like you mentioned, obviously, you run a business and try to keep your head on straight and all of this. I mean, I think that, in motherhood, I think we get asked a lot, like, how do we do this? And I don't know if I really have an answer to that. When I get asked that question, I'm not really sure if I know how I do it. I just do it. I just figure out a way to make it work. And so I'm just curious from your perspective, are there certain tools that you utilize to keep everybody going in the right directions? Prioritizing family time, prioritizing your own time, um, outside of running 26 miles by yourself for 5 hours. I'm sure there's others.
Maybe that's why I liked it so much. Like, wow, this is self-care now. Uh-huh.
5 hours alone? What is this?
No, I actually am super passionate about this. So I'm so glad that you guys are doing this podcast because I do think it's so important. And I will say that mom guilt is like, it used to be a thing for me, but it's not anymore because I feel like I have my priorities in order, but it took a long time to get here. And so I feel like if you're a mom struggling with your first one on like how to balance all of these things, but I've been a mom for 11 years now. So the glory of it is like also the more children you have, this is going to sound insane, but it gets easier to manage. And so the first year of having a baby was probably the hardest year of my life, just adjusting to this new role of being a mother and all of the hormones on top of it. And just this feeling of this like person that you've never had before in your life. And so I think that it does get easier. So if anyone is feeling like hopeless in the balance game and taking care of yourself, I do think that, and maybe it doesn't get easier. Maybe it doesn't get easier, but you get better and more used to your new normal. Um, so I will say that, yeah, I do have 4 children ranging 2 to 11. We have a couple in traveling baseball leagues. And then my third one, he won't be into that until next year. So he's doing, just kind of the cute little like coach pitch and things like that. And then our little girl, she's along for the ride and my little sidekick all the time. But I actually made a reel about this on Mother's Day is that like I feel like the first thing that goes when we become busy as mothers is um the the want to take care of ourselves. And self-care obviously looks different for everybody, but for me it has always been working out. And it doesn't have to be an extreme work. It doesn't have to be running 26 miles. It could be like every day do something for yourself. Go for a walk outside, go to the gym for an hour, book the PT, like the personal trainer, get her and help her, have her help you to get back to feeling like your own self. But I will say, like, our business has obviously, it's just evolved to something different than it used to be as well. When we were just online, it was sort of like I could really build my day around my workout, which isn't obviously like not everyone can do that. And so that was really, I'm like, gosh, I dream about those days sometimes. I will say sometimes I still do base my day around workout. 2 days a week I do. And so balance I think looks different for everybody, but for me it's asking for help in some ways. So I have daycare for my 2 little ones and I have public school for the 2 older ones. So every day I have 8 hours and I have to, kind of strategically fill my 8 hours with what I need to accomplish for work. And if there's anything personal that I need to do, I want to fit it in there when my kids are taken care of so that I can be present with them at home. Something else that has been like super helpful for me as a e-commerce business owner is being able to automate things. So we have like all of our social media, we spend one day a month and we crank out this automated calendar. We crank out our email marketing, our text messages. So like really time blocking out days of the month where we can focus on getting the bulk parts of our marketing done. So that way we can be a little bit more present at night. And again, I won't say that that was always a thing. I do remember my kids going to bed and then me working like right after. But now I've realized that I can get this done in these 8 hours and I can automate things out until the next day. And then that next day I can build up to automate for that night as well. So yeah, having kids busy in sports, it's basically from 4:30 on, your night's booked. So making sure that you have things prepared for your customers so that you're able to still put them first, but then giving your family that time. I feel like it's something I'm finally getting to the point that I'm able to do, but it took almost 5 years for me to get to this point. And I
Mhm.
will say,
Yeah, and I
if you include the workout, the importance of working out, um, 2 days a week, I make it part of my day with Aaron, which I look forward to those 2 days because the other 3 days of the week, I get up before the kids, and get my workout done in the morning. And then I have learned that I do not need to be hard on myself. If I accidentally sleep in, it happens. And that day, just go out for a walk. I used to be in this headspace where I was like, gosh, now my day is so off. And I don't try to be hard on myself for that anymore. If I sleep in, my body probably needed it. So let's go for a walk instead and take that phone call on your walk and just get your me time in. So yeah, I think the biggest thing for
yeah.
me is asking for help in the way that I do have daycare and public school. So ask me at the end of this summer how I'm managing that, but we'll figure it out.
No, I dawned on me. I'm like, "Oh, they're out next week.
Mhm.
Oh,
There are.
oh boy, here we go. Let's buckle up." No,
Yeah.
I appreciate you speaking because I think for each of us as moms and business owners and you know, even just women trying to prioritize their own self-care, whether you're a business owner or not, motherhood is busy, in any capacity. Whether, like I said, whether we're owning our own business or we're stay-at-home moms or whatever it may be, it just comes with its own different set of challenges and obstacles that like to derail some just the plan for the most part sometimes. But I know for me, I get up early and get my workout in now before anybody else. A lot of times I don't even go to my own gym, which sounds kind of crazy, but I'm following the programming. I'm just going somewhere different because it's my me time. It doesn't feel like work then when I'm doing that by myself. And it's, an opportunity for me to be alone with myself for an hour or two in the mornings before my kids get up. And that way I just know it's a non-negotiable for me. It's obviously a part of my job too. So it's kind of important that I work out. That's kind of, part of what I do. But I also think that it just makes me show up so much better in the rest of my life, the rest of the week and the rest of the day. And I don't know what's going to happen in a day. Like if I'm planning on hoping to get to the gym at X, Y, and Z time because I didn't go in the morning, that's probably not going to happen because things show up and challenges show up and changes in schedules or so and so can't make it to help with this or that or whatever it may be. So I've just learned that that scheduled set aside time for myself. Fortunately, I am in a position where I can go early in the mornings. My kids are old enough that I can leave the little one home with the olders. I'm lucky in that regard. And then be able to just set aside that time for me. Because it makes me a better mom. It makes me more clear minded in the work that I do. It makes me more productive, all of those things. But yeah, the tools piece, I think for me recently, my sister moved to town. And that has just been life changing for me in regards to help. I have help all of a sudden, right? And being able to ask for help and her ask for help. And yeah, that's been have been I don't have family close, so now having somebody to help in that regard is just completely life changing. And I know Hickman has the small community, so hopefully you have some of that too in your mom groups and friend groups.
Yeah, that's so true. It is. And I think at first too, I always felt guilty, asking for a ride, can this kid get a ride or something? But then I think, the everybody is going to need help at some point. So really teaming up with, your mom friends and your kids friends and asking for help. And I do want to touch on, I know you said like, how I just remember this feeling so vividly about feeling trapped a little bit as a mom. How you mentioned, like, you're fortunate enough that your kids are old enough that you can like go in the morning. And I will never
Mhm.
forget this feeling of like being a stay at home mom. My kids were too little and just, I couldn't leave them. I stayed at home with them. I couldn't leave them, and having this feeling of like being stuck a little bit. And I didn't have Victor's in my life then. Victor's has,
Mhm.
childcare, which is huge and awesome. But like
Mhm.
before that was a thing, thinking about those women, and I have friends in this situation right now who, it is like, how do I actually work out? How do I find time for myself? So it's interesting to see like how workouts have evolved over the years. If I take it back to like 2015 and 16, I was literally doing like home videos in my basement, and I think it's just like, it sometimes it feels like survival mode, and I know it shouldn't, but I know it does sometimes. And I just think like anything that you can do to prioritize just that little bit of time for yourself. And it might be, at home workouts for a little bit, but just know that that season doesn't last forever. But like you will never regret taking care of yourself just for a little bit of time.
No, and we talk a lot in the gym about how we're emulating things for our children, and within the space, I hear a lot of like, "I'm doing this for my kids," which I appreciate, and I see the value in that and in articulating that way. I wish that sometimes we could just do it just for ourselves and not have to just do it for our kids. Are we setting a good example? Yes. Are we emulating self care as a woman? Yes. Are we hopefully allowing our daughters and our sons to see what a woman prioritizing herself looks like? Yes. But I hope that all of us can find a space where we're doing that just for us and we're not necessarily just doing it for the benefit of our children long term. Because I think that really, truly, like we deserve that. And it is a selfless act to be able to, um, prioritize yourself that way. It is not selfish. If anything, is selfless in that way. So it's hard. It's hard. I mean, I get the whole baseball thing. That's for sure. We're headed
Yeah.
to Omaha and all the traveling things and everything else, but I do feel very privileged that we get to be present. There are jobs out there that we could be working that we don't get to be as present as we do. So it's the you know other side of the pot that we also get to experience.
Absolutely. Yeah. I even have like, there's this friend of mine, and I'm like, I should do that. She drops her kids off to warm up for baseball, and then she goes for like a run. I'm like, okay,
Hmm.
well, that is like
Hmm.
really prioritizing your own time too, like, or taking
Hmm.
advantage of your own time that you have, because there is this, 45 minutes where your kids need to warm up for an athletic, whether it's a game or whatever performance.
Hmm.
And you have this amount of time where, sometimes we just sit and we talk to other parents, which is, fellowship is great, but also like if you utilize every single minute of your day to just make sure that you're taking care of yourself too, that is something that I like seriously look up to. It's important.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, to speak to your point of like not wanting to ask for help, like how many times have we been asked, for a pickup or, hey, can you give so and so a ride? Do you mind? Like, when have I ever felt any way about it? Like, it is never an issue to me. Like, maybe
Mhm.
that's the 9 in both of us that we're both just like, okay, yeah, it's fine. But I mean, it is. It's just like, yeah, girl, I got you. Like, it's not because we get it, right? Like, and that act of, I know what that took for her to ask for help. So therefore, it's that much easier for me to reciprocate that help and vice versa. I think that that's the beauty of asking for help is you start to realize like the benefits and for you and feeling like you can rely on other people and letting them help you.
Yes, I agree.
Yeah. Let's chat a little bit. So you obviously ran the half, or excuse me, the full. I shouldn't have said that. Sorry. You ran the full. I know I saw you posted in your new prototype. Is that right? For Little Movements?
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
Can we talk about it?
Yeah. Let's talk about that. Is it so it was the bra and the legging? Am I allowed to say that? Is that what I saw? Okay.
Yeah. Yes, I'd love to. Okay, so So Little Movements is a women's athletic wear company. We sell lots of different brands and functions, sort of like a typical boutique, but only with athletic wear. We found sort of our little niche there in athletic wear and really want to encourage movement. It's been huge. Had Movement has had a huge impact on my life as well as our co-founders, and so that's where we started. Something that I take pride in for our business is just listening to, we're huge on like listening to feedback and listening to customer requests and things like that. Um, Specifically in the year 2020, we really started hearing a need from our customers. And it's something that we'd always thought, but no one has ever really been like, hey, can you like buy sports bras that have the built in padding? Like, we hate these removable cups. They're awful. They get folded up. Like, if you're a woman who wears a sports bra, you know what I'm talking about. And honestly,
Mhm.
like, a huge, like red flag for me too is like, the removable pad in a size extra small bra is more times than not the exact same size as a pad in a size 3XL bra that we can buy and
Mhm.
resell. It's just like, it's ridiculous, whatever. So anyway, we really listened to that from our customers. We sent out a couple of surveys asking our customers to tell us about their dream sports bra, really like not giving them any direction on that. And 95% of those surveys came back saying that their dream sports bra had built in padding. So from there, we conducted Zoom interviews. We were able to do 35 Zoom interviews. And together with these 35 women, we designed a sports bra with built in padding that has a patent, which is so awesome and exciting. We were able to get a grant for it in 2021 and did our first launch in November of 2022. With the funding, we were only able to make 88 of them, but we sold out of all 88 in 22 minutes, which was so exciting. But then it was one of those moments in my business where I was like, oh crap, like now what? Because I don't have enough money off of all of these bras to come and do another round. Like, how are we going to do this? Not to mention that our manufacturer was actually an amazing woman in Lincoln, Nebraska, who made all of these in her basement. She didn't have the right machine, but she did
Mhm.
such a great job and is a person who I will like continue to just praise all the time. I cannot believe that she did that. She did an amazing job. And she's also like a co-designer on the product. So basically, we have over the past 2 years really worked on fundraising to take this brand to the next level and working on our bra prototype. So there were a couple pieces of feedback that we had gotten from our prototype, mainly size related and also like heaviness related. So those were
Mhm.
two changes that we really wanted to make. The first prototype was pretty heavy of a sports bra, almost like a piece of armor, like yes, built-in padding, but like pretty heavy. And so we took it to a different style of padding. We changed out a couple of the features and added in some mesh liner to help with breathability. And then it's interesting because it's a completely different sizing grade because there's no cups. So when there's no cups in a bra, you have to think about your bra in a little bit different of a way. So you're thinking about, like let's say like the girth. So you're thinking about like around the rib cage, and then you're also thinking about how much it can stretch with your chest. So we will have 6 different sizes of bras and we will have 6 different sizes of leggings. Our leggings don't have a patent on them, but they are very unique to Little Movements. They are made by 4 women in Omaha, Nebraska, which they will make up to 500 for us. Then after that, we have a factory in mind overseas that we'll use to create when we get to like the thousands point. But basically, it's just been a long haul of testing, redoing, testing again, and redoing. I will say that 4 of the bras are ready. 3 of the leggings are ready, and we still need to test the other ones. But I was really, really, really hoping for a late. I actually have been really hoping for like 2023 and then April. And now I'm hoping for July. But like in my mind, it's like you cannot rush. You can't rush this if you want it to be done well. So, really just continuing to perfect the product, and then marketing, like building up a launch, you really need to start a few months ahead of time. So just really praying and hoping that it happens here in the next few months, and really excited to get that back out on the market. We're just doing one color round this time. It's just going to be black on black, a black bra, black legging. What we'll do from there is really pay attention to our customer base and what size they're buying. So
Mm.
that way we kind of know how to produce the next round, which will bring in other colors. And then in 2025, we'll bring in other products as well, kind of reintroducing like one product at a time, not saying they'll all have patents. The sports bra just has been taking quite a bit of work because it's not something that has been duplicated or is on the market yet. So yeah, that's kind of where we're at. All
So is
exciting,
your
stressful.
Yeah, yeah. Is your goal to have those in store too? Like have them in store within Lincoln so that people can come in and try them on, or like still keep it all online? I know core movements versus
Yeah.
little movements, like being two different things. How do you plan on navigating that?
Yeah, so we will have some in store. They are like, it's interesting like how this has evolved, because yes, our brand became core movements, our business is little movements. Little movements will wholesale, or not wholesale, but we'll buy from core, and we will have it available in store for people. We'll probably do some sort of like a launch party for our local people. And then we'll sell them on our website as well. Core also will, my goal with Core is that it could take a different avenue and reach a different customer base as well. So that may look like being able to wholesale it in the future, out to different gyms or sporting stores, or even like maybe bigger brand names. You never know.
Mhm.
um, we're just gonna start with this year at selling two little movements, and then little movements being able to sell it and gathering data on sizing, and then we'll kind of come up with our next plan at the end of 2024.
I love that. I mean, that's super exciting. I know a few gyms that you could probably wholesale to at some point. I mean,
Yes.
I could probably think of a few. That might be near and dear to our hearts there. Um, so I mean, what's the 5-year goal here? What's if you're gonna look down the road 5 years from now? What not necessarily just little movements goal, but like what does Marissa's life look like 5 years from now?
Yeah, it's so interesting, because if you would have asked me this last year, my plans would have been way different. But I have experienced a few things over the last year that has really made me motivated in a lot of different ways that I didn't expect. And my 5-year goal with, as a company is to, I want to become a wholesaler. I want this company to become our own brand. I want to be able to sell this to, um, more like a B2B, also a B2C, but more of a B2B company as well. I want to get this product that's not on the market, legit on the market. Um, and what I have become super passionate about along the way is building women entrepreneurs up. And I don't know for sure what that looks like yet, but I will speak to the fact that the reason why a sports bra like this hasn't been made yet is because women traditionally haven't been invited to the space where they get to make these types of decisions. And also, I'll speak to the fact that, like, when we look at fundraising, there still are not a lot of opportunities for us as women. And I want to be able to someday provide resources for women who are entrepreneurs and looking to scale companies. It's just, there's a big hole in our nation. I think in our world there is a big gap there where women are missing out on a lot of opportunities, and I have felt pretty strongly about that lately. And now I will say that, like, I'm obviously selling sports bras. So I'm talking to a lot of people about sports bras who maybe have never had to wear a sports bra in their life. So when I'm just talking and speaking about something so feminine and intimate to a woman's life, and obviously very necessary, I think I've become even more passionate about our voices being heard, and our ability to be able to scale businesses in general. And I want to be able to help women do that. That is
Mhm.
my 5-year goal. I don't know exactly what that looks like yet. My hope is that I could possibly be some sort of like a mentor or consultant to women going through some of the same things that I've experienced
Mm.
over the last year.
Yeah. Sounds like we have very similar goals there, in regards to wanting to lift up, obviously, women entrepreneurs through the franchising space for sure as well, but also just empowering the day to day woman. The only way that we can sell franchises is if we have members and women that are passionate about changing their own lives and having an active role in their health and demanding representation in the research, right? Like you're talking about a sports bra, and we're talking about, also the just lack of exercise research on women specific, depending on the stage of life and depending on the cycle and all of that different stuff. So, yeah, it is time for us, our voices to be heard and our concerns to be validated, whether that's a sports bra or a doctor's appointment or whatever it may be. Like we need to be able to speak up and be heard and be listened to and be validated and see things change because of that. So I think what you're doing is incredible. Like it's not just a sports bra.
It is. It's about so much more than a sports bra. And it's so funny because it, who knew? You know what I mean? Like, who
Yeah.
knew it would evolve to this? But you have to live through these situations and actually see what is going on and be just in it, to really understand that, wow, there's some neglect here in an area that, um, I think we all, if we're working together, we can make a huge difference in the future generations to come.
Yeah. Yeah. I
Yes.
100% agree. Well, thank you for your time today and taking the time to sit down and talk with me and everybody listening. I value our conversations on and off the mic always. So I just, again, I admire you for so many different things in so many different ways. You are truly a beacon of just like light and positivity, and the way that you carry yourself and the way that you carry your mission and also the way you show up for your family is inspiring, for myself, and I know so many other people look up to you so much. So thank you for what you're doing. Keep doing it. Keep doing it to the capacity that you continue to show up for yourself as well.
Thank you, Stacy. That is so sweet. Like you almost were making me cry, but thank you so much for having me on. And thank you for including me in your business throughout it. And thanks for bringing this podcast to life, because I do think that, our resources, like as we were talking there at the last little bit, like we need as many of these resources and authentic conversations that we can have. And I think the more that we work with each other to build each other up, it's only going to be positive. So I really appreciate you and everything that you've done and for bringing the gym to life, because also Victress has changed my life in such an incredible way. Not just like confidence, but also just routine, muscle structure, and just this community of women. Like I can't even describe it, but once you're in that Victress community, there's just not another one like it around. So I really appreciate you and your heart and including me in it as well.
Well, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. And I'm sure we'll have you back on, probably many, many times in the future. So this won't be the last you'll hear from us. That's for sure.
Sounds great. I'm
All
always
right, girl. Well, thank you. Thank you so much. And we'll chat soon, I'm sure.
Thank you. Have a great day.
Yes, you too.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.